Hello everyone. Today we will be learning how the three financial statements are interlinked. Before we begin, it is expected that the participant is familiar with the basic accounting terms like how the business earns its revenue, what are the different expenses it has to incur, and what are its assets and liabilities. It would be better if you are also familiar with the format and the contents of the three financial statements. However, for convenience, I will provide a refresher on these statements. Let us start with the income statement. This is where we record the income earned and expenses incurred by the business during a specific accounting period, which can be a quarter or an entire year. The income statement is like the report card of the business. It tells us whether the business has made a profit or a loss during this time period. However, we do not record all business transactions here. Some transactions like buying property, plant, equipment, that is PP&E, or buying inventory for sale are not recorded here. They are recorded in the balance sheet. Only when we sell the inventory, we record the cost of goods sold in the income statement. I will explain this better when we get to the example. Now, we use accrual based accounting when we prepare the income statement. Accrual based accounting means all transactions of the business will be recorded regardless of whether cash is received or paid. Even if transactions are done on credit, like buying today and paying tomorrow, they must be recorded. This approach helps us accurately calculate the key performance indicators like revenue, cost of goods sold, EBITDA, EBIT, EBT, and profit after tax. All these KPIs are crucial to assess how the business is performing. Moving on to the balance sheet, this is where we capture business elements like how much money is invested in the business by the shareholders, how much loan is taken from the bank, what all assets and liabilities does the business have, and how much profits we have generated till date. An important number that we must focus on is the cash balance that is shown on the asset side. The balance sheet shows the balance of all the above as on a specific point in time and not over a period like the income statement. So, while the income statement says, here is how we did in this quarter, the balance sheet says, here is where we stand as on date. The assets and liabilities are neatly divided into current, which is short term, and non current, that is long term categories. This helps us assess our short-term payables and receivables as well as our long-term obligations. It is also worth noting that all profits accumulated over the years, including the current period profit, are reported in the equity section. The pulse of the balance sheet is the accounting equation. Assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. That is why this sheet is called balance. On one side of the balance sheet, we list all the asset, and on the other side, we stack up the liabilities and the equity. If the two sides do not match, there is a discrepancy in the accounting records which requires immediate investigation and correction. The third key financial statement is the cash flow, which tells us something very simple yet something extremely important. And that is how much cash is actually moving in and out of the business. The income statement follows accrual accounting and can show profits even if no money has been physically exchanged. But the cash flow statement relies on actual cash transactions. For example, if we sell goods worth 100 on credit for 150, the income statement will show a profit of 50. But cash is not yet received and this profit is theoretical. The cash flow statement will record the transaction only when the cash is received from the customer. Thus, we are able to evaluate whether the profit is actually realized or is merely anticipated. The cash flows are categorized into three main activities. First is the cash flow from operating activities. These cover the core day-to-day operations, that is, cash received from customers, cash paid to suppliers, payment of salaries, taxes, etc. This section can be prepared using either the direct method or the indirect method. I will explain the difference between these methods when we do the example. For now, just know that the direct method is easier to understand, but the indirect method is required for external and regulatory reporting. Next is investing activities. These involve transactions related to buying or selling long-term assets like property or equipment, or investing the surplus in financial instruments to generate returns. We are able to evaluate how the business is building its asset base. Last is financing activities. In this section, we record cash transactions that are related to raising money for the business. These transactions are related to borrowing or repaying debt, issuing or buying back equity, and paying interest or dividends. Together, these three financial statements help the stakeholders understand not only whether a company is profitable, but also whether it is generating actual cash and is not just showing profits on paper. Now, we'll go through some basic fundamentals that will help us understand how the three financial statements are interlinked. We already know that businesses operate using both the accrual based and the cash based accounting. This means every transaction must be recorded whether or not actual cash is involved. Depending on the nature of the transaction, it will appear in one or more of the three financial statements. Let's break down some types of business transactions. Cash transactions involve immediate payment or receipt of money. Example is paying salaries, rent, tax, interest, utility bills, etc. Credit transactions happen now, but the cash is paid or received later. For example, if we purchase inventory on credit, the cash flow statement is not impacted today because cash will be paid in future. Next is unpaid or outstanding expenses. Sometimes businesses are late in making the payments even when they are due. Example, salary has to be paid by 5th of the following month, but today is the 15th and the payment is yet to be made. These are unpaid or outstanding expenses that must be recorded because they are due. Obviously, these will not be shown in the cash flow statement until they are paid. Then we have prepaid expenses or income received in advance. Sometimes businesses pay or receive money in advance before receiving the product or availing the service or delivering the product. For example, you pay the annual Amazon Prime subscription fee upfront. We also give a token or advance payment when we book a flat or purchase a car. Such transactions must also be recorded even though the transaction is not complete. Last, we have non-cash transactions that are recorded purely for accounting accuracy, even though no cash is ever exchanged. Common examples include recording depreciation or creating a provision for doubtful debt. Though these transactions are operationally significant, they do not impact the cash flow statement. So here's the key. The income statement and balance sheet follow accrual-based accounting, meaning they recognize revenue and expenses regardless of whether cash is received or paid. The cash flow statement reports the transactions only when there is an outflow or inflow of cash. Understanding these links will help us connect the major dots, which are profits, financial position, and actual liquidity. In this final part of the session, we will learn how to break down business transactions into their financial components or accounting heads. While formal accounting relies on the dual aspect concept, which states that every transaction must have an equal debit and credit entry, we will approach this using a logical inference. The key principle to remember is that every transaction will have at least two accounting components. Some transactions can have even more than two. Let's walk through some examples. Suppose David starts a business by investing 500 as equity. The first step is to identify which accounting components are involved. In this case, the two components are equity and cash. If cash is a part of the transaction, you have to ask yourself, is the cash coming into the business or going out? If money is coming in, we assign a plus sign. If it is going out, we use a minus sign. Since the proprietor is investing money in the business, cash is coming in. So we mark it as plus 500. Next, we classify the nature of this cash movement. Is it related to operating, investing, or financing activity? Because this transaction involves raising funds for the business through equity, it falls under cash flow from financing activities. Let's see another example. Suppose David purchases an equipment worth 200. He pays half the money today upfront and he will pay the remaining after 2 months. Here we have three accounting components. First, we have an equipment that is an asset which is worth 200. We have paid half for it, which means cash is the second component. It is an outflow, so minus 100. Then we have a liability of 100, which is our third component. As you see from this example, we can even have more than two accounting components. Buying an asset is part of investing activities, that is CFI, and because it is an outflow, we will put a negative sign. Just an FYI, do not add the cash and payables and say minus 100 plus 100 will give me a 0. We are talking about two different accounting heads over here, cash and payables. 100 is reduced from our cash balance and it does not impact payables. For now, let's do a last example. David pays 50 as rent for the month. Pause the video here and try to guess the components that are impacted. The accounting heads that are impacted are rent and cash. Rent is an expense, so we put a minus sign just to know that it is an expense. Cash is paid, so that is a minus 2. Paying rent is a part of the core operating activities of the business and it will be shown in the CFO with a negative sign under the direct method. So to conclude, we have explored a basic overview of what the three financial statements include and how business transactions can be broken down to identify the accounting components. In the next video, we'll build on this foundation with a full-fledged example. You will learn how to record a complete set of business transactions and see how each of these transactions are shown in the financial statement. We will use Microsoft Excel to prepare the financial statements step by step, making it easy for you to follow along. The goal is to help you understand the logic and structure behind accounting without getting overwhelmed by debit and credit terminology at this stage. So see you in the next video.